let's see how it goes. So it's according to this thing, we should be live here. So I'm just gonna check my phone really quick to see if everything went through. I don't know if you guys are getting any notifications that you're live yet. I'll see here. Yeah, so I'm seeing here on Follow Fishing. Let's see if we get one on 7-Day Addiction. Do you see it one on 7-Day Addiction yet, Fabian?
Yeah, I see it already.
All right. And then let me just look at this one really quick here on YouTube. And so let's see here. What's up, guys? We're just playing with this here. We're trying to get this thing sorted out here. Let's see. So I heard that someone had it on up there. Who's got that one playing? Yeah. All right. Yeah. So it looks like it's working. Then. So. All right. So.
Yeah, we're on.
Yeah, it looks like we're good. So. We'll kind of give a few people a few minutes here to get settled in, but it sounds like everybody can hear us. Guys, if you can't hear us, if you can't just send us a comment here. I'm checking out our comments. Let us know if the video is good, video is bad. Let us know where you're watching from, and more importantly, let us know what you're drinking tonight. So I'm gonna be a little bit fancy tonight and drink out of and drink some scotch here. So it's been that kind of day. What do you got there, Richard?
I got some crystal water bullshit.
Oh yeah.
It tastes like damn tap water, bro.
It is.
My wife got
That's the
wrong.
best type of water, dude.
My
wife got the wrong one.
How much did you pay for that?
I don't know, it's like $4. $5 wasn't.
So okay, not too bad, huh?
Well, not for one. I mean, for the pack.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
All right. And what do you got there today, Fabian?
Oh, Jack as always, man.
Jack is always stay classy, keeping it classy.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we've got a few people watching. Actually, we got a good amount of people. So we are streaming across the different platforms right now. So we've got one on a 7-Day Addiction Facebook page, one on the Apollo Fishing Facebook page, and we're watching. We got some viewers on YouTube as well too. So so let us know below where you guys are watching, and we'll kind of get started. And damn, that was loud. Could y'all hear that, or was that just me? Did y'all hear that ringing noise? All right, no, it's like we've got this Ring camera here set up at the house, and it's just whenever we got that motion, it was pretty loud. But anyway, so yeah, man, we got a lot of people at home, and like Fabian and I, we were talking about this for like the last few days, and like, man, we're at home and just kind of watching the same things. And like, if you're like me, you've probably already watched the Tiger King and kind of the Ted Bundy stuff and a lot of that Netflix stuff, and you're like, damn, what else there to watch? And then I sit down in front of my TV now, and I'm like, I can't find, like, I spend
Money Heist starts tomorrow, I think. Money Heist.
Is that on Netflix or?
Yeah, it's Netflix, man. It's a good show.
I spend most of my time just trying to figure out what I'm going to watch, and then I end up not watching anything and just get up. So hopefully so the idea around that was like we could put something out here that maybe kind of, since we can't do our podcast, that we would do something a little bit different here and just have a show here where we would just talk to different people. And really, what we really want to do with this entire set of shows is just kind of talk to brands, talk to people, and a lot of time we know brands, or we may know someone based on, hey, we know this guy's the owner, but we never talked to him, we've never heard anything about him. And so really the idea around this entire show was to try to
or what does he look like without a hat?
What does he look like without a hat? I don't think you're gonna see Fabian tonight without a hat, so maybe so, but I think you're gonna see a different side. I'm pretty sure that you will see. So baby steps and so we're gonna do. So today we're gonna just the tip today, but we're gonna cross that line little by little.
Excuse me.
I said we're crossing that line.
This kind of show, man.
Yeah, no, we're just crossing the line a little bit here, but yeah. So really, the idea around this was to try to get people some an idea of kind of who's behind these brands and who are the people behind them, and what their story is, and again, like we may buy shirts, we may buy stuff, and just because we like the designs, or we watch someone's YouTube's channel because they're entertaining, or we buy boats, fishing rods, whatever it may be, because we like the product itself, but a lot of times people won't, they don't put themselves out there and tell their stories, or they just haven't done it. And so really that's what this show is all about, is really trying to give people an opportunity to kind of get out there and tell their story, and really just like let us kind of ask the questions and get started. And so so that's kind of what I'm thinking about this is going to go. So, and obviously, like,
I think it's going to be a good deal. Also, I mean, just like we were talking about yesterday about bringing in other people and even restaurants and things like that. So I think it's going to be a good deal for everybody around, especially for the local crowd.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be pretty cool to kind of listen to them and see what they have to offer. But pretty excited about today, though.
Yeah. No, well, obviously today you're the man here, so we're here to talk about 7-day addiction. so yeah, man.
Is there a way we can blur Victor's camera completely?
Yeah, I think it is blurred. Yeah, so, but
Yeah, I'll just stay right here like that. Is that better?
there, that just works. That was perfect. But yeah, so I mean, I know a little bit about Fabian's backstory, and like we're not like there's the manchas that come up, but we're not like I don't know the whole backstory, and so and granted this is kind of like a guinea pig, so we're trying to see how all this stuff's going to work, and so we figured why not try it out with Fabian, and if things go bad, well then it was just Fabian, right? so we can manage it in that manner. So yeah, Fabian. So I mean, I know a little bit about it, but I mean, just tell us like when did 7-Day Addiction officially start, or unofficially, whatever it may be.
I guess I mean unofficially, I want to say maybe about 4 years ago. The idea behind it was, I'm a big Guy Harvey fan, and I used to see his designs, you see his drawings, his paintings. I mean, obviously I'm by no means a Guy Harvey, or even close to that, but to see what he was doing, it was really cool to me. And I would buy his shirts, I would buy other type of fishing shirts and so forth, and I always thought it'd be cool to have my own stuff on there. And just like I think a lot of other people I've talked to, it starts the same way, where I did it for myself. I was going to do it for my family, for my friends. And that's all it was going to be. It wasn't going to be anything, really a big deal. We weren't going to go, and actually create a brand around it. It was just going to be something that we wanted for ourselves. And
but you say so it's Guy Harvey. So what is it about like Guy Harvey that that was interesting, or what?
I think that to me, it was just the art. It was just, I mean, the mindset that I had was like, man, he literally is putting his name on a shirt, and people want to buy it because of who he is and what he's putting out there. Obviously, he started with his art first, and I just admired his art, and that's what it kind of started with. I admired what the art it was, and I always thought I could do that. And obviously I can't do that. I mean,
I know I've seen you. I was gonna say
it is way up there, But I always thought I could do something like that, similar to it, and. When I started, doodling and just kind of getting some stuff together, my brother started asking me, hey, what are you doing? What's that about, or whatever? So we kind of started, talking about it. And where it really, really took off was when we actually got the name down. One of my brothers, my older brother, Felipe, we were throwing names around, and he's like, no. And during the time was when the CrossFit phase or craze actually began. And he would work out next to a CrossFit gym. It was another regular gym. And he said to himself, man, these people are addicted 7 days, with his stuff. And right at the gym, I remember he called me. 7-Day Addiction, bro.
Yeah.
I was like, what? He's like, that's the name. I was like, oh, crap. I go, you're right.
So your brother came up with it, yeah.
Saying why. Yeah, my brother came up with the name. But the 7 has a different meaning to us as well. The 7, we're 7 brothers and sisters.
Damn.
So the number 7 to us has always been a big deal.
Yeah, I bet with the coronavirus, there's going to be a lot of 7 siblings here with all the quarantine. But that's. Oh
yeah, it's hard to kind of divide us, but yeah, we haven't seen each other. But so that's where it kind of went. And then of course, lucky number 7. So the 7 has so many things around it, and we said, hey, let's do it. So
7 reds you can keep.
7 reds.
I mean trout.
7 spots maybe in your hands. I don't know.
No, it's a lot. It's a lot more than that.
Let's count them.
It's a lot.
But so that particular summer, we went on vacation to Austin with a friend of ours, a high school friend of ours, and her husband is a lawyer. And that's when he basically said, "What do you?" The same thing he asked me, "What are you going to do with that?" And I had made a cap, and I was like, "No, nothing. It's just for me and my family." and he's like, "Let me do something for you." So I was like, "Okay, go for it." And I didn't know what that was. And he called me a couple months later, said, "Hey man, I'm gonna try and trademark 7 Day Addiction for you
Really? Oh.
because I don't offer that service. I don't know how to do it." He's like, "I want you to be the first one, and if I can offer the service, badass. If I can do that."
Yeah.
So sure enough, a year later, I get a envelope in the mail saying you are trademarked 7 Day Addiction, and that's where it took off. And he said, "Hey, now you can do it legally. You can the name is yours, and just go for it."
So,
And that's where it kind of started.
So before that, you weren't. I mean, you had the idea that you wanted to do it. But you really hadn't really done very much with it, or.
No, like I said, I made like a dozen caps for my brothers and myself.
Yeah.
A couple of friends maybe.
What was your first design? Like, what was your first thing that you drew up and you actually got the 7 day on it?
The first design was horrible, actually. It was a fish in between some antlers. To me, the idea was going to be outdoors, not really, just fishing, just hunting. It was going to be those two things. I think Victor just fell.
Yeah.
Ouch.
It's okay. We can drop him from here.
It wasn't going to be just a fishing brand or just a hunting brand. It was going to be a combination of both. So that's where it kind of went to. So the first one was literally a fish and in between the antlers, and then I kind of intertwined them, and they was bad. I mean, I would go back and look at it. And it was pretty bad.
And so
Do you still have it?
Yeah, actually, some people still wear it, and I see it, and I'm like, oh man, like, what I did is I actually donated like 100 shirts to Goodwill. With that
well, those are that's where. So anyone that wants to buy the original stuff here, go get it.
And I saw it about last year, and I was like, wow, I know where you got that. And I mean, again, it's a trial and error. And during that first show I did, which was the high stakes in Edinburgh, I was drawing some other stuff, and that's where I drew the original fish, which is the fish that becomes a hook. And
the one you had.
Yeah. And so what I did is I kind of put it up there as a drawing, and then I also had the deer that was the pig. I had it up as a drawing, and I just had it as decoration. And people started asking me, "Hey man, are you gonna do that one? Are you gonna do that one? Are you gonna do that one?" So a lot of people kept asking me. I said, "You know what? Let me try it." And sure enough, that's the one that pretty much got things rolling, which was that second I guess try at a design. And that particular design, and so along with the hunting design, written really, really well. Martin's Farmer Ranch gave us our first opportunity to carry the hunting design, and then Joe's tackle shop in McAllen, who's no longer there, gave us the opportunity to have our stuff in there with the fishing side. And that's where it kind of became a reality to me, like, hey, you can do something with it.
Yeah.
So I went with it.
Yeah.
And I noticed some of your designs now that I've been around you all for, I'm going to say, going close to a year now from both of you all. I noticed a lot of your designs are based on everyday fishing or everyday activities that you're doing. And I think it's cool because it's you implementing life, what's going on in life to what you're putting out there, man.
And one thing I try and do when I'm designing something is the intertwining of things. I really like that. I like the idea that something becomes something else, or I have something inside something else, like the 7 you're wearing, that redfish tails in the bottom, just different things like that. I want that to become the style of 7 Day Addiction. So if you look at a lot of the designs, you'll see how there's always different elements to it. And you're right, I try to make it relevant. I don't just want to put a redfish. Why a redfish? Like, well, what is it? I try and put a story behind it in the sense that you're looking at it and you kind of relate to it.
Yeah.
That's the idea, at least. I don't know if it's coming across that way, but that's definitely the idea.
It sure is, man.
Yeah, that's my mindset going into it. So yeah, I mean, when I got into those two stores, I think that's what kind of, really, really made things real and said, hey man, you can actually make a business out of it.
So like growing up, like were you like sketching or like you like doing art stuff like all the time, or you just kind of like what was your kind of thing to art? You say Guy Harvey, but like what was it?
I was more of a I mean, I was always into the arts, but till this day, I've never painted on a canvas.
Okay.
and that's something I want to do. I've never had a painting on a canvas. I've tried it,
Just put
and
some
I'm just
makeup
very
on, bro.
Like tipsy canvas or what?
yeah, like a tipsy canvas. I actually wanted to try that and see because I mean I've tried it, a couple of times at home, and I'm very critical with it, and I see it, and I'm like, oh, it looks like crap. So I just throw it away, and I give up. And
Don't get Sam ideas.
just,
He's gonna
just,
want to do a tipsy
just,
bottle rocket
just
over
take it.
Glen.
Just take it. Well, I've done that already.
we won't get past 20 minutes for that one.
But we'll go to anyway. Any of those paintings, just take them to Goodwill too, man, and put them, stack them up next to the shirts there. So there you go.
So you were always into drawn into the art and try to do something. Were you always into singing?
That's a different thing.
No, we're getting there, Victor. Victor's jumping ahead. We're talking about
That's a
it.
different
Yeah.
story,
But
we're like, I mean, I've always been into the arts. Like I said, it fascinates me how people can create these things. Lowell Shapley is another guy I kind of follow. Carter is another guy here locally that I follow. Don is another one, and those are guys. If you go and look at their Facebook stuff, I mean, these guys are unbelievable. I mean, they look like pictures, and I've always been fascinated with that. But I've never given myself the opportunity to actually even try it.
well, it sounds
Steve
like
Brown was one of the ones.
it sounds like he has. You're just being super critical of it. You just put it out there, and he gives a shit like what it looks like and what people think of it. I mean, you doing it because you enjoy doing it, and not because you're trying to please the masses. So
Yeah, and I guess that's the mindset I shouldn't have. But I think a lot of times that's the mindset I have. It's like I guess I'm not pleasing my own eyes, so it's like I don't want it. So but yeah, I've always been into the arts, and again, Guy Harvey's always been my inspiration of more than anything, not even as his abilities, but his style. I think my dream has always been to hear someone say, "Oh, that's a 7-day addiction."
yeah.
And to
Just-
see a design
just-
without a name on there.
Just based on like the style of the artwork. Yeah.
Correct. And that's always been my I guess my goal is to have that. And I think the name itself just kind of lends itself to so many different things. And I think that's what kind of gave us different opportunities because, we've done, like this recently we did the roping. I've done exercise ones. I've done,
But
just anything. Really.
are these things that you like your addiction, or they're just things that like people ask you for that you just kind of work on that?
See, again, and I'm another one into the rodeo thing. And I've always been into it. I've always wanted to do it again. I'm just that guy that's into a lot of things, but is always just afraid to take that plunge and actually do it. I still say I'm going to ride a bull before I die. Whether I die with it.
That'll be the day. That'll be the day.
How did he die? Living his dream.
But so it's easy for me to kind of draw those things because I'm into it. But some people will ask me like, "Hey, can you do?" I don't know, just odd things, like, yeah, I can try, but when you're not inspired.
Can you do mind chest on his shirt?
I did it. It was a dairy cow.
I know, you sent me the damn text. I was so excited. He's like, yeah, I got a logo for you. And then he sends me a cow. I was like, damn, man.
So you get into a few shirts. So you get into a few stores several years ago, and then how does that continue to grow? I mean, what are things that you're doing to grow your brand and doing it? Obviously it's first of all, it's hard to get people to carry your stuff, and even nowadays there's a lot more brands out there, right? Because it's specifically around t-shirts and hats, it's pretty easy to get into, and so and it was pretty simple at that time too, maybe not as big as it is right now, but so what are some of the things that you did to get people to say, hey, this is a 7-day addiction, or was it purely an art play, like, hey, I like these designs and I'm going to buy vape and stuff because of the designs?
At first, that's what I would do. Like I would sketch something, and as soon as I would sketch it, I would put it online and see what kind of feedback I would get out of it. And I noticed that that's where I was kind of getting that, I guess, notoriety, if you want to call it that, or popularity, whatever the word is.
And by online, you mean Facebook, huh?
More than anything was Facebook.
Okay.
And so I was getting people's attention with that, like, oh, that's cool, that's different. And that's been always my key word, is different. Is it something that's out there? Is it something that people are doing? And that's always been in the back of my head, like, I'm not going to do something that a lot of people have done, and I'm not going to do something that, everyone's done. And that's always been the goal.
Different, man.
Yeah, the Dia de la Pesca, I think, to me, honestly, that's one of my proudest ones, along with the butterfly. And that's the thing, and I love hearing that. It's like, man, I've never seen that before. And when I hear those words, that's what kind of gets, that excitement of continuing and wanting to do this. Because when I hear I've never seen that before, that's cool, to me.
Yeah. I
So,
And
remember when we were at the bluff, and that lady, comes up and looks at it, and she's looking at it, and she's realizing what it is, and at that point,
yeah,
she's
or
like,
most on that,
"I want this.
yeah,
I want
most
this."
people don't see it. Like most people on that, at least I've been, with Fabian here the last few months, and we've gone to several shows, and someone sees the Dia de la Pesca shirt, which is the skull, or even the butterfly shirt, and they're like, oh cool, I like the skulls, right, or I like butterflies, and then they're like, no wait, this is like, these are redfish, or there's fish in here. They're like,
Yeah.
oh what, whatever. It kind of blows their mind. They're like, yeah, I gotta have it. But again, it's the same thing, right? It's just like it's different. It's just things that people haven't seen and people aren't used to. So now that's cool, man.
and I
So
think that's what's kind of set us, it's kind of set us apart, from a lot of people. There's a lot of great designs out there. I mean, there is, and there's a lot of great companies out there, and I think they each have their own style, and that's the beauty of it. Is that if you create your own style, you're not competing against other people.
because why? I mean,
I'm not.
I think I mean you're still competing with people. It's just different because at the end of the day, I mean, like someone's gonna buy a shirt, they're not gonna buy. I guess maybe they would buy, but if they're gonna buy one shirt, they're
Yeah,
not gonna buy 10 shirts, right? Whatever. So in a
yeah,
certain sense, you are competing with them. But if that's your goal, right? If you're looking at sales completely, yeah. But it seems that you're
yeah.
you're more focused on kind of doing the creative and the stuff that's out there, and that's where you want to compete on the designs and maybe not the amount of shirts that get sold or whatever. So
Yeah, because I think, I mean, everybody's giving us that has always told me, even from the get go, it's like, hey, it's going to take you 5 years. We're not even there yet. And
almost.
everyone's told us it's going to take you 5 years before you even make a profit on anything. It's going to take you 5 years. That number five has always been, told to me. And, you know, not that we're profitable to where we can retire and just sit back and watch money flow. But I mean, I think we started finally getting a little bit of profit, after year two, three, and I mean, I'm not talking thousands and thousands of dollars, but we actually weren't losing money. So when people started telling me, hey man, that's a success already. And I wasn't seeing it that way because I was still a teacher and I'm like, I can't retire yet. So this isn't working,
So you
you
were so
know?
you were so you're
And
doing all this on a teacher's salary. You were kind of, so what was that like?
oh, that was tough. And that's definitely tough. And it was one of those things. And not only the working of it, it was to the design, to come home and print, to come home and do all that and actually create stuff. I mean, it's
And you were coaching too, right?
yeah. I actually gave up coaching because of this.
Really? Okay.
I started varsity. I started varsity coaching about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe, and I did it for 3 years, and that was Sunday to Sunday. And the last year, I gave it up, and they called me back, say, "Hey, man, can you do it one more year for us?" Da 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 da. And they actually gave me the leeway where if I had a show on a Saturday, I could leave. So they kind of gave me that leeway to be able to do that. But that's when I realized is if I'm putting my life on hold for it, I got to go 100%, and I got to make it happen. And that's when I started printing my own stuff.
What
And then,
what
of
what
course,
what,
this
what were
year
you coaching?
I was coaching football.
Okay, so you're coaching football, you're selling shirts, you're designing stuff. All this time you're getting them made. Someone's printing them out for you, and
Yeah,
then it wasn't until you stopped coaching that you started doing your own printing.
yeah, and really the I guess what broke the camel's back was I had an order that needed to go out and it didn't get fulfilled, and that was like my breaking point where I was like, I can't
It
rely on
was.
anyone. And my wife and I kind of sat down, crunched numbers, and we were able to buy some of the equipment, um, and that's it. And when we went full force with it, people started asking me like, "Hey, can you print this for me? Hey, can you print that for me?" And that's kind of where it kind of got a little more of a business and a different business now, where now I was designing for people, and I was actually printing for other people, but I couldn't fulfill these large orders.
But it was that was that was that
I
was
was
that was strictly like a printing play. Like you're just like operating like a print shop, or you're printing like your stuff for
uh,
these orders. Like
no, no, no. I mean, it was a little bit of both actually. Like you would have stores that would order, 150 shirts. So I had to print them, and there was other people where they started because at the beginning, I think after year 2, people started asking me, "Hey, can you design this for me?" Yeah, I'll draw it up, and there you go. I'd give it to them. It was free. I enjoyed it. I got a kick out of it. And it wasn't until somebody actually told me, that's a business, right? Like, I was like, what do you mean? It took me an hour. Yeah. And they're like, oh, it's a business, dude. Like, I mean, to draw it, to come up with that, it's something that's not, so I started getting into designs where it taking me 6 hours. They were taking me 3-4 days, to actually draw them up and stuff. And I was still giving them away. And I didn't mind it. Because to me, it was like, it's a buddy of mine, or it's a buddy of a buddy. And when people started telling me, like, hey, man, you can charge for this. And when I started seeing what they charge for it, I'm like, oh, wow. Like, this is a business on its own.
Yep.
And so they would ask me to design something for them, and then they would ask me to print stuff for them.
Okay.
So that's where it kind of started there. But it gave me the opportunity to design more and try things out. Because before, that's where a lot of the money was being, dumped into, where I'd create a design, and they're like, okay, well, you need to make 50 shirts.
Yep. Okay,
well, here's $600-700 I have to come up with to make these 50 shirts, and let me see if it helped. No, and 40 of those 50 shirts have been sitting there for 4 or 5 months.
And now they're in Goodwill.
And the Goodwill.
Goodwill.
But see, nowadays people can get away from that, right? There's a lot of like print on demand type services that are available out there to people. Yeah. And so in my opinion, like if you're looking to get started, like I would definitely look at trying to do like a print on demand type service, whether it's DTG or sublimation. Kind of the things that I've learned here from you, because my thing, so this is how I met Fabian. I met Fabian because I was one of the guys that asked Fabian, hey Fabian, I need a design, can you design something for me? And so he did, and he's like, cool, now I need this on a shirt. And he's like, where I can get it? He's like, well, I can do it myself. And I do that, and I was like, oh crap, this is what we want to do, this is what I need to do. And so so kind of what happened was, like Fabian said, I needed to order, in order to make it economical for me, because you can't sell these shirts for, a lot, right? Whatever, and the cost on them is, depending where you're getting them, what the volumes are. I mean, the margins aren't really very high. And then when you say, like, in order to make it economical, you need to buy like 50 shirts, and each shirt's costing you somewhere between 15, 16, 17 bucks, and you're going to sell them for 25. You're making $8 per shirt, but you have to buy 50 of them in order to, you have a lot of money tied up. And then, and that's just one design, one color, right? And then kind of what happens is you might sell all your larges, right? But all your or your mediums or whatever, and then you don't have any, right? So you have a closet, not full of shirts. You may have 20 shirts left, which is, but they're all sizes, and you have to hold on to them. And then that shirt itself could have done really well. And, it was white, but if you would have made it a blue shirt, it would have done a lot better, or vice versa, right? But you don't have that flexibility to kind of play and test that market with that, unless you're printing your own shirts or using some kind of print-on-demand type service. So, yeah. Yeah,
and that's where where it kind of took off. There is when they started ordering that, and I remember just 2 years ago or last year, we got offers for 1,000 shirts, and I'm like, I can't do it. And
why couldn't you do it? Like, what was?
Well, the main reason I couldn't do it is because they wanted it in a certain time frame, and I wasn't going to be that person to say, yes, I can do it, and then I wasn't going to fulfill it, because that's the reason I started doing my own stuff, because they weren't fulfilling the orders. So I'd rather have said no and hopefully get their business a year and a half, 2 years later when we're a little, better and when we're able to actually fulfill it, than to say yes and then burn myself and, I'm that guy who can't fulfill an order.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to do that.
Well, at that time you were still working as well, right?
At that time, I was still getting home.
Well, that's why he couldn't fulfill the orders, right? He just physically didn't have the man hours to do it.
And I'll never forget show time, man. When we had the shows that we had to go, I mean, I still had to print those shirts myself, and I was staying up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, waking up at 5:30 to go to work, and then coming back at 5 and staying up for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I'm like. And people knew when it was show season because I looked.
Your eyes. Fabian looks drunk all the time. but what's and granted, this is our first show that we do this, but what you just described, I mean, I think it's going to be the common denominator between a lot of the people we speak with over the next few weeks or a few days. That is just kind of working this hustle, right? So you're doing your day job or whatever, and you're using that to fund your side job or your side gig, or the thing that you really enjoy doing, and you stay up long hours all middle of the night doing these things, whether it's making shirts, whether it's editing videos, whether it's being at your shop, whatever it may be. Like, you end up doing it just because you're trying, you really enjoy doing it. And I really think a lot of the guys we're going to talk to, you're going to see that. So for anybody that's watching that thinks, hey, this is easy, just need to make, just put a few designs out there, do something up, and then, like, yeah, you might be able to get to a certain point with that, but these long hours and these, putting this passion behind and energy behind what you're doing, it's going to be, it's important. It's really what kind of differentiates good ideas executed bad, and good ideas or decent ideas executed well. So.
And that's the thing, also. I mean, and I hope that these segments kind of help people out, because I remember the first time I heard that about sleep was Hunter with Fish Sticks, and we were at one of the first shows that I did, and somebody said, "Oh man, I haven't slept in I didn't sleep last night." Like, that was, well, I didn't sleep last night, and Hunter's like, "Well, I haven't slept in a week." So, but that was the mindset, that was the normal for everybody. It's like, you're not going to, man. That this is your life now, and you're gonna have to make that sacrifice. And I try and listen to a lot of these motivational speakers, and a lot of people say that you gotta want more success more than you want to sleep. And
yeah, well,
it's true.
I don't know. I challenge that because I'm a big many of you guys know I'm a big Gary Vaynerchuk fan, and Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this a lot, right? And he's known for the word kind of like demoralizing the term hustle, right? Like, everyone, there's a bad perception, and people think just because you don't sleep a lot, or because you cut your sleep or whatever, that means you're going hard. And it may mean you're going hard, but kind of what Gary's message is to these people, or people that think this way, is that it's not about how much sleep. It's not about how much sleep you get or don't get. It's about what you do with the hours that you're awake, right? And so maybe you're not sitting down and watching Netflix. Maybe you're not scrolling on Facebook, or maybe you're not on Instagram. It's how do you make the most out of the 18, 19, 17, 16 hours that you're awake, right? And so I think it's a balance, right? It's because obviously it's hard. It's not. I don't think it's healthy for anyone to be productive, 100% of their time, right? Productive in the sense that they're working that, right? Because we're all human beings. We all have a life to live, and we all have, the things around us. We don't do, we have families, we have kids, whatever it may be, right? So maintaining that balance. And then there's times that you have to get away and kind of just break away. And so, but yeah, I think the idea of I think the real message is kind of really having that drive and the hustle to work hard.
Yeah. No, for sure.
When you started 7 Day, or when you started that first design, that first logo, and you got that letter that said, "Hey, this is yours now," did you see this happening?
I didn't see it happening. Again, because at the beginning, I don't think that wasn't the plan. The plan wasn't, I want to make a living out of it. And a lot of my buddies that are ex-teachers, that they remember the day that I drew the first design, and it was during testing, and during that testing, I think we would finish testing, they would regroup the kids, and 4 or 5 teachers would end up in the same classroom, to kind of alleviate whatever. And we were in the same room, and there was a lot of coaching buddies of mine, and they saw the drawing, and they're like, "Dude, that's badass, that's awesome, what are you going to do with it, da 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 da." And I was like, I'm not gonna do anything with it, man. I'm just gonna make a capper shirt out of it. And I think it was like 6 months ago, a guy told me, "Dude, you drew that like 4 years ago, man." I was like, "Yeah, I did." And he's like, "Who thought it would be here?" And I didn't. I mean, but it's that I guess pessimist in everybody, where it's like, I'm not gonna ever create a brand, a Magellan, a Columbia. Obviously we're not there yet, but that's the goal. But now I actually have that drive. Now I actually have that mindset of, what? Why can't I?
Yeah.
Why can't I be that next guy? That next Gary. The next guy Harvey, or the next Magellan, or whatever. And it's very possible, especially now, knowing more of these brands, Salt Life, Saltwater Soul. These are all guys that are doing very fairly well for themselves, and they were there. And I remember some of them even Billy Ray from Saltwater Soul called me year one, and he's like, dude, I like what you're doing. That was year one, and this guy had been around since like '07, and he's like, dude, you're doing a good thing, man. This is your first year. That kind of gave me that confidence of like, whoa, people are actually noticing, who we are. Yeah. And that was cool.
I think that's one thing we're gonna get from this show, man. Is really, and it's really the reason why I really have a lot of passion behind this, is because what you just described, right? You think that a lot of these things are done by people that are maybe superhuman, or right, have they're extraordinary people. Not to say they're not, right? But I think that through this show you're gonna find that that a lot of the people behind some of the brands and things that we respect a lot, they're just like you and me. They just they kind of they're and maybe not like Victor, but like at least like I'm joking, Victor.
I don't even dream in my sleep.
But I'm actually, so I was actually looking at here. I'm trying to get caught up here, and so I didn't see any comments coming up here on the screen, and they had been showing up before, and for whatever reason they're not showing up. But we do have some guys from the different platforms. We got guys on YouTube that are asking questions, and guys that are on Facebook that are tuned in and asking a few things here. So
and that was cool. Rudy just messaged. I like when people say the 7-day guys. I think that happened to me. I think the third year I was at a show in Corpus, and somebody came up to us and said, "Oh, you're the 7-day guys." I'm like, "Oh man, yeah, I guess we are."
There you
know, and it was just me. There wasn't any guys around me. It was just me. And they're like, "No, you're the 7-day guys." And I'm like, "Yeah,
like,
they mentioned Rudy, they mentioned Gunner. And they're like, yeah, your guys. And I'm like, man, that's pretty cool, that they associate them with the brand.
Right.
And, that was exciting to hear, like now I hear like, they talk to Victor, like the 7-day guy, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but
the guy with the hands.
He's still one of those guys.
Oh, Victor's a great guy.
Guys, though.
Yeah, definitely.
You don't even know why I do this?
Yeah.
But no, you're right, Rudy. I mean, it definitely is a cool thing, and it does, and, you have to get a little bit of pride out of it, and you got to, your chest swells up a little bit, man, when they say you're the guy, you're the 7-day guy, and like I've told you many times, dude, I think this happened just recently where people actually know the me behind the 7-day addiction, and for a long time I was cool, for a long time it was like, yeah, I like the brand, who's the owner, and I'm like, I am. Like, oh, really?
Really? Like, you draw?
You make all these sketches? You do all these things? Yeah. No, it's good. So I'm actually
it was one of those things where... Go ahead.
No, I'm here reading some of the comments. So and so TJ's here tuned in. What's up, TJ? TJ's showing his flexing over here on us. Yeah, and so earlier I said that sales isn't a competition, but TJ says sales is a competition, so he had to make that. But I think sales. I'll talk about. Victor's in sales, so Victor knows all about it. But what do you think, Victor? Is sales a competition?
It's competition, bro. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I work with 7 different guys, and I want them to be successful, but I also compete against them. So you're always. You want the best for every company, but you still want to come out in front, and that's just being a salesperson is what it is.
Yep.
Fabio's designs are they're great, and he does a great job. And I'm pretty sure other design people see what's going on, and they're gonna try. Hey, what do we? You gotta do something more than the next guy, and that's always gonna be to me in any type of sales scenario. At the end of the day, it's gonna fall into the person that's making it and saying, hey, man. The 7-day guys.
Yeah, I'm like, and I've had this conversation with Fabian before, and I think sales is a good measure of kind of where you're going. It's a good indicator, something you have to keep in your mind, but I don't think it's the driver, and I don't think it's. I think thinking of sales, although I think thinking of it in the context of competition can be good. I also think of it that thinking of sales can also, at certain competition, can be bad, right? Because you may do things that because
you can't focus just on that.
Yeah, because in my opinion, like my thing is like sales is a transactional. That's all it really is, right? It's very transactional. It's someone I have something that someone wants to buy and they're going to pay this much for it, and it's that one-time transaction. And kind of the conversation that we've been having, as well as with some of the other guys that we're helping out with, is that they're you can, transactional, if you do it like that, it ends right there, right? So if I go buy something, say, a gallon of gas or whatever, right? I'm just, I buy it and it ends, and then I leave and it ends there. We don't have an ongoing relationship with our client or with our customer. And so that's kind of the big thing, is like, I think adding value, and really caring about your customers and what you're doing is really kind of the game. And then sales is kind of a reflection of how well you're doing that, right? And so sales is definitely a measure. It's a metric that you use to quantify or kind of see if you're trending in the right direction. Obviously, you need sales to generate cash, because cash flow is important in operating any business. And so,
what you're saying is great, and I've seen it personally. Again, I'm gonna go to that lady from Power Glove, because we made a sale of a shirt, but that sale has turned into her going into the 7-day page, looking at the stuff, commenting, and just her passion for what Fabian has been doing has been growing. I mean, this lady's been asking you for. It went from one shirt that we didn't have her color. So now she just, gets involved. So there was a transaction that went, and then the rest happened, which is, hey, I got to know the guy who behind it. I got to see what they're doing, and I'm gonna buy from them now because I like what they're going.
Yeah, and that's what this show is all about. I mean, really, because really what you just described is what Fabian and I talk as a story, right? So you have the transaction and you have the story, and the story is your brand equity, the long term play. Transactions today, brand equity is long term, and that means if I sell you a shirt today, then I sold you a shirt today for $20-$30, whatever.
Yeah.
But equity means I sold you a shirt today for $20-$25, but because of our story or because of your service experience you had with us, you're going to buy a shirt from me next month or next year or every, this recurring thing. When you want something new, you're going to, and that's why. And so you say like where you work, you're competing with a lot of the same guys. But I think if you were to trend it, you would see that it's the same guys that do well every year are doing well every year because of the value in how they see. It's not because they're salesmen. And not just, again, I'm not saying sales isn't important and it's not a competition. I do think it's important. I just think that it's more of a reflection of how well you're doing your taking care of your customer and that. So but anyway, sorry, I kind of
think it's just the way you kind of see it as well, and again, I think this is important that we have the conversation, just because there are brands out there who are barely starting off, and hopefully they succeed. And I've had this conversation, and we'll talk to him, here, soon, hopefully, with Joel. And I keep bringing him up, with Pescador, because he's a good buddy of mine. And we've talked to where we'll look at each other. And we're like, I'm not your competition, and he's not my competition, because if you look at our styles, they're 100% different. The styles are just pretty, they're pretty different. And he always says that, it's like, I don't think I'm competing against you, because it's a different market in a sense. Yes, they're all anglers. Yes, they're all outdoorsmen. But again, you might have somebody who likes skulls. You might have somebody who's completely, likes the different styles are there. But I think if you have the mindset of, I got to beat this brand, I got to beat this brand, I got to beat this brand, you're going to lose your identity.
Yeah.
You're going to lose your style. You're going to lose who you are, and you're going to start looking at who they are. And I think that's where you kind of lose yourself, and you kind of start becoming that brand. Yeah. And you're not going to beat that brand because you're not them.
Yeah. You gotta be you, man.
Exactly. And I think there's a lot of people who kind of get stuck in that, like, I got to be the top guy, I got to be the top guy. And I've heard people tell me, and I've heard people walk away and like, oh no, we're going to beat them. We're going to be better than them. It's like, you already started off wrong.
Yeah, it's
because I'm not your client. I'm not your client. Your focus needs to be on what are you going to put out to the client client's going to like. Because before I did this, I bought Salt Life, I bought Magellan, I bought Columbia, I bought everybody because that's what I like.
Yeah.
And I think that's the mindset people need to go into it with any business. It's like, do what you're good at and do what you like and do who you are. And I think the audience will respond.
I think
so. I got a question.
Go ahead, Victor.
I got a question for you, not to do with sales, but what is your favorite design?
My favorite design, honestly, has to go. Man, I mean, to say like the tribal that just came out, I've been working on that for 2-3 years now.
That one's not going to Goodwill.
Not yet, maybe. I don't know.
Nah, hell no.
I've been working on that one for about 2-3 years now, and I think the way it came out, finally, that has to be one of my favorite ones, just because of how simple it is, but how intricate it is. If that makes sense.
That's already available, right?
That's available. And of course, the butterfly one, just because I think the butterfly, to not get so corny, but it is something that's between my wife and myself. My wife is a huge butterfly lover, and she wears a fishing shirt now only because there's a butterfly on it. She can't, flick a rod at all, but it's one of those things.
It's the stories behind things, man. And what I was going to say.
My daughter loves that shirt.
Oh yeah, I saw. She was telling me about it the other day when we were talking. She kept saying, "I got a butterfly."
And that's the coolest part. I'll see kids and I'll see women even. Like just say, man, God, this is my favorite shirt. I've seen women say, "Oh, I want to tattoo this," and and it's like, "Oh wow!" Like
that's Jacob's favorite shirt.
Jacob wants to tattoo it.
He loves it, but he wants to tattoo that
on his back or on his lower back.
That's gonna be a full catch of butterflies.
Good. No, without.
No, actually, the tribal has to be. I think right now my most favorite one because of just how simple, but how intricate it actually is at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a cool one, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah. There's Bella in the back, looking around, looking to see what's going on over here. What's going on?
Is that a video?
Yeah. Are you watching? No?
Mm-hmm.
Which one I like that I saw recently at Gunner, I think he posted it today. He had above the one that says it's in my DNA, and it's a red going into the tail going.
And you know what? I've never released that shirt.
No.
I've never released that
shirt, bro. Large.
I didn't see it. I need to check it out. So maybe.
Rudy has one too.
Rudy does.
Rudy has the jersey. I did that jersey for them like 2-3 years ago when they were fishing the series together, and that was going to be the shirt to kind of unveil it, and never got around to it. That's
a better shirt, bro.
But I need to actually release that one. I think that's gonna be a good one.
Well, so I think that answers Sam from Come On Reds. He's asking, is there any new 7-day designs to look forward to? And so I think this it's not really a new design, but it's more of a play or maybe a re-release of kind of that. So what we're going.
I think if you look at our page, man, I think this whole quarantine thing has definitely allowed us to sit behind a computer and design a little more, and I think we've taken out a good maybe 3 or 4 designs in the last week or two.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to think about it in context too, man. Like all of Q4 of last year was getting the store set up, so I mean there wasn't any kind of time to do that, and then Q1. The first half of it was all about all the shows, right? You had, you started the year off with doing, shows, and it was I think it was 5 or 6 weekends back to back to back. There was shows, little shows.
And then y'all did the Houston one,
right.
5 days. Bro.
Yeah, and so it was you just haven't really had a time. So not to say that this quarantine is good, but it's or at least I should say good for it is good, right? But it's in the context of business, right? It's definitely we're feeling the impact on kind of. Everybody is, right? Because stores are closed and you can't do that. So it's another reason why you're seeing a big push from everybody online, right? And everybody's doing it right now. We're all kind of doing raffles and things like that to try to continue to sell things because the storefronts are closed and a lot of people rely on that stuff, right? You still got to pay your bills and you still got to pay your people, and you got to do what you can. You still got to make ends meet. So definitely it's something that we're seeing a lot of. But like you said, this gives us the opportunity to kind of throw out a lot of new designs, and I mean we've been seeing them coming out here, right? Every few days there's something new, something different. And oh, this would be cool. This would come out, and so what are things that are either that you're thinking of right now? Or maybe you don't want to talk about that.
And that's the funny thing is. I'm going back, and I just dealt with a client of ours, Pablo Cantu, and I did a design for him 2 years ago maybe. I don't know when it was. But I looked at it, and we both looked at it together, and I'm like, man, that's crappy, bro. He's like, you did it.
What, me? It was me? Me, him.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, man. And it was just the cool thing is to see the progress from then to now. And I redid it, I revamped it, and he looks at it and he's like, dude, that's your style, and that I love hearing that. But what I'm doing a lot is kind of revisiting old drawings that I had and revisiting old, and I keep I have like 6 or 7, just clipboards, and they're all just full of different drawings, and I'm revisiting those to avoid having to rethink something brand new, because I know that it was there. I just never did anything with it because I didn't have the opportunity or ability to. Now that I have the opportunity to print one shirt and say, hey, what do y'all think? And if it sells, great. I sell 10, 15 of them, but I didn't have to print 50, 60 of them,
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, where it gives us that ability. But yeah, you're going to seeing a lot of different designs coming out of us. I think we're going to be behind the computers for at least another 2 months.
At least, yeah.
I like,
but
I like
you'll
the
be seeing
Cobra
that.
19.
Yeah, the Cobra 19, again, it gives you one of those things where, and by no means, guys, and I'm going to throw this out there, and hopefully I don't hurt anybody's feelings, by no means do I want to make that a production shirt, because this is a horrible thing going on. This is not a laughing matter. But to me, that particular design was a play to kind of lighten the mood up, but at the same time send that message of it does mean something, And I think a lot of people dug it pretty well, man. I had some messages, hey man, I want that in a large, and I want that in a, and like, no, man, it's just I would love to have seen it in more profiles.
I used it as my profile pic the day that I went fishing, so that wasn't good. And I was like, stay home.
But you were by yourself, right?
Yeah, but I was by myself. Yeah, I did go.
I'm gonna have to change that. Stay home or fish solo. I think somebody changed it already.
Yeah, they put that on mine. They're like, stay home or fish solo. I was like, man, I think it's cool, man, and I understand the concept behind it. It's not. You told me it wasn't a production line. It's more of like, hey, man, we gotta take care of it. If we just talk fishing, maybe that will get us our attention. Like, hey, there's a red covering and stuff. Maybe it's time to kind of chill a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the thing with us, and that's the thing with 7 Day Addiction, and and I know we're interviewing. and I know we're interviewing myself, but
I miss you too.
But I think Sam now, for people to know, Sam and I are now partners in this, and so a lot of the inspiration comes from both of us now.
I'm not a partner.
You're.
Damn. I'm there having dinner, bro.
Yeah, I remember when when we had when we first had these conversations. I was doing the raw thing a lot more, obviously based on kind of what I was doing at the time, based on my work schedule, and it was kind of reaching a point where I couldn't really keep up with what was going on, what I was trying to do. And I was kind of really at the point where I'm at, what do we do here? Do we continue to try to scale this up, or do we need to, just need to kind of step back from it and kind of let it, fade out? And it was really like doubling down, in my opinion, kind of for me at least at that point, because again, I'm at the point where I can walk away and still have something here, or we can try to take this to the next level. And so what do I do? And I thought about different things, and really for me, it kind of got to the point where I need to kind of to do something different, because I knew where I was at, and the path I was on wasn't sustainable long term. And so I started thinking about, my experiences, people I've worked with, what were some different things, what were some different people, and obviously Fabian was on the top of the list in terms of people that I would want to work with and partner up with, because prior to that, Fabian and I had a business type relationship where I was buying shirts from Fabian, and I was consulting him and asking him for help on designs and kind of different things, but kind of some of the things that stood out from Fabian. Or with Fabian was that a lot of people knew him. A lot of people have been doing business with him. Hi, and hey, careful, you're gonna get. And more importantly, no one. I never. It's fishing, and a lot of guys like to do a lot of guys talk smack and like whatever, and like, oh, f that guy or do this, like whatever. But I never heard anything like that about Fabian, and so for me it was just clear that, hey, let me reach out to Fabian because of the relationship we had, as well as kind of
nobody talks smack about Fabian. Have you seen his calves? He'll kill you with one kick, bro.
You gonna listen?
Break you in half, man.
So for that reason, we were talking about it, and then so Fabian and I was actually in China when I reached out to Fabian, and I told him, hey man, like, I'm at a point now where I need to do something different. Would you be interested in talking about what we might be able to do together? Obviously, I didn't know we was going to come to this point and get to this point really fast, but we went out to dinner, and we had a few Jack and Cokes. Yeah, like partners, right? And we went out and we had a few drinks at night, and I think we even posted something on social media that same night and said like, hey, we got something coming up here. We just kind of and then like that was the beginning of kind of where we decided at that night and kind of talked about both businesses and kind of what it would look like if we were to do something together, and here we are several months later. And the good thing is, I mean, I wasn't expecting at all when I engaged Fabian that he was going to say, yep, I'm going to do this full time. That's definitely not what I had in mind. It was like, hey, maybe there's an opportunity to reduce our overhead in terms of kind of getting into a store and having some sort of a storefront, and you continue doing what you're doing, I do continue doing what I'm doing, but we're doing it under the same roof. That was the initial thought. And then I guess, Fabian, what were some of the things that were going at your job that kind of said like, I'm ready to do this full time? Because I mean,
it wasn't even that, honestly. It wasn't even that. I had just had a conversation like literally a couple of weeks prior to that about the whole turning down business because I couldn't do it.
Okay.
Because I didn't have the time. And this guy I was talking to had just told me, dude, why don't you hire somebody part time? Pay a minimum wage. If you and we started doing crunchy numbers, and the thing is that I didn't have a storefront, so the only place they can come is to my house. So my wife and I actually had started talking already. Hey, we'll build a room over here. They can only get in there because my wife works from home. So I'm like, I can't have a stranger, male or female, doesn't matter. Come into the home. So I'd already talked about rebuilding this and structuring here and there, and hire somebody at least part time, where I can get some help on printing this stuff. And then this comes along, and I'm like, oh man. I mean, and I'm a strong believer in everything happens for a reason. When I talked to my brother about it, and we're semi-religious type of people, and he's like, that's a sign there, And I mean, you got to do something with it. And that's where it was easy for me to make that decision and say, you know what, let's do it. And I don't think I was ever meant to be a teacher. I don't think that was my calling. Especially with the way things are now. I coached for at least 9 years maybe, and it changed a lot. The kids changed a lot.
So what were you? So I know what you were teaching, but put it in context for everyone else that doesn't know kind of what you were teaching and what your school was. This isn't your football coach and your job anymore.
Yeah, I quit the coaching and I was doing the potential dropouts. I was actually doing the what they call the third year freshmen. These are Victor-esque type of guys.
Hi, teacher. Hi, teacher.
That's how you met Victor.
Yeah, he was one of my ex-students. It was 18, 17-year-olds that have one credit to their name, and they put them all in one room, and here you go, have at it, man. And but I had that similar background. I grew up in that similar background, so it was really easy for me to kind of adapt to that. But to get less, to avoid getting political and talking about different things, different people, it just started getting a little bad, and I think it was just a perfect time. It was a perfect time because I think I would have gone to jail or something.
There was a time I'm setting up the shop, and like we had just kind of signed our lease and we're working on it, and we're going in there and we're kind of hanging stuff up or whatever, and yeah.
But what was upstairs after the shop?
Oh, I'm gonna tell everybody what was there at the shop.
And what was up there?
Oh, there was. Oh, but I'm telling everybody. So,
But
so.
we can't go upstairs in the shop.
Oh, you can't. Oh, now we're starting to see some of the comments pop up. They weren't showing up before. Yeah, he's all like, that's why you kept Victor around. He reminds you of your students. Yeah, so yeah, whatever just happened, like this, the show, the comics just they weren't showing up, and now they're just popping up. So I don't know,
Tell Jacob
maybe just got
so
it,
he can hear me. Okay,
maybe
tell Jacob so that he can hear me.
maybe it just got interesting enough to where we would start doing that. So, but yeah, I remember I called Fabian and we were gonna meet up at the shop at a certain time, and we're working and Fabian calls me and is all like, "Hey man, I'm at the hospital." I'm like, "What? What? Like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Like, do we like what's going on? Are you okay?" And he's like, "No, yeah, I got like punched in the back, and like it's like protocol that I have to go and get
What? That's cool.
It was a protocol, you know. You had to go and so forth. And again, it was getting to that point, man. And unfortunately, it was a girl, and so. You know, it's one of those things where, and she did time. She did about 2 weeks in jail.
Oh man.
Damn.
So, but yeah,
But it's one of those things. But to answer Sam's question, he's like, you know, so much hope for these kids, potential dropouts. You know, actually, that's what they were. You know, they were labeled, man, because they were 18 years old.
Crazy.
They were going to be removed anyway if they didn't get their credits. You know, they weren't going to graduate from there. So it was one of those things where, yeah, I mean, that's what they were. They were going to potentially drop out if somebody didn't catch them in time. But and again, it was a, you know, not to sound corny or anything, but it was a very rewarding job, you know, to see somebody actually graduate that didn't have any credits, you know, just a month
Good.
ago.
Good job, Jacob.
yeah, we got Redfish Ninja asking if he can talk trash here, man. In case you don't know, like this all what this whole 7 Day Addiction is about talking trash, and so that's how that's how you know who your friends are. If they're not talking trash about you, then you got to worry about those guys.
Weird.
Yeah, you got to worry about them.
You know, we do take a lot of trash. We talk a lot of trash to each other, right? But it's all because we know how each other
Oh,
are. At the end of the
absolutely.
day, we're all a very close group, man. Like I make so much fun of Jacob, and then there's like he's probably one of the guys I talk to the most now. I'll call him up at night. Hey, what are you doing, bro? I can hear his wife. Who is it, Victor again? I'm just like,
Yeah.
My principal asked me one time, he goes, "Hey, you make fun of everybody," and I'm like, "Yeah." I go, and then she's like, "But it's funny how everybody gets along with you." I go, "Well, you know, that's a question you ask yourself, man. Am I making fun of you because I like you or not like you? It's up for you to decide."
It's up to
And I
you,
just walked
man.
away, and she's like, "So do you like me?"
Snap.
Yeah, that's it. So
So it's one of those things. Hey, you decide, man. But
yeah,
yeah, it's definitely a good group, and I think we've definitely come a long way in regards to the group, to the pro staffers, to the people who are supporting us. I mean, it's been an amazing journey for the past 4 years, man, and you know, to combine, you know, forces or brands or however you want to call it, you know, with Paulo rods and now even having, you know, being able to say like that's my brand, that's my rod, it's awesome. And to come out and have people say, man, oh, you're the Paulo guys now. It's like, oh, you all sell Paulo here? You know, that's cool. You know, people come into the shop and like, oh, you all sell Paulo? Like, no, we make it, dude.
Yeah.
You know, this
Yeah, right here in the pack.
and,
Yeah.
So it's awesome, man. And I think it's been, you know, really, really well. And I'm excited. And I'm hoping that, you know, other brands, other people, you know, kind of, you know, keep that confidence in themselves and hopefully they'll continue doing what they're doing because it is going to get better, man. You know, and I had a lot of people, and I think the biggest compliment that we get is you're not a fly-by night type of brand. You've been here for the past 4 years, and I got that compliment from, you know, a guy that's big in the business, and I won't say who, but you know, the guy's like, dude, I'm gonna help you, and I believe in you because you're not a fly-by, you know, type of guy. You've been here
Yeah.
for 4 years. You've hustled, you've sacrificed, and you know,
Yeah.
it's gonna take that. And so the brands that are out there that are continuing doing this, they may keep at it. You need help. You need questions. I'm always there to help because I got a lot of help. I got a lot of help from this industry. I got a lot of help from different people. So I'm never gonna hide a secret from anybody that might potentially help them. You know.
All right. Well, let's
So
kind of
it's one of those
let's
things.
put you on the spot then. If you're someone who's looking to grow their shirt business or kind of their T-shirt business or start something, you know, what are things that they should? What are the top 2, 3 things that they need to do?
I think the
Go to
biggest
7
thing
Day
is,
Media.
yeah. No, I think the biggest thing is surround yourself with the right people. That's number one. Surround yourself with the right people because you're gonna have those days where you know and I have a lot of people that I can call and I did And I said, that's it, I'm done. It's over. I'm not going to do this anymore. And those people were behind me saying, man, that's just, you're an idiot. Don't do that. Just keep at it. You're just going through a slump, And so surround yourself with the right people. And I think the last thing is be patient. You have to be patient, and don't go in there full force by saying, and I made that mistake, and I invested $4, 5, $6,000 on, an order of shirts, and that was the dumbest thing I ever did, because again, a lot of those are Goodwill, and a lot of them I sold for at cost or less, So it's one of those things. Be patient. You're gonna come up with brands, you're gonna come up with designs, you're gonna come up with logos, you're gonna want to put them all on a shirt, you know. Just be patient, put out one, test the waters, and then keep going with that. And if you find somebody, I'm not putting a plug with us, but if you find a company who can help you, I take their word for it, guys. I mean, and again, they're out there, but most of these guys are out there to help you. They're out there to actually help you succeed. Yes, this business is cutthroat, but for the most part, I think the angling, the outdoor industry is very, very helpful. And I think it's you'll be okay.
Yeah.
And I think while I'm here, man, I mean, I want to thank certain people. Is I think one of the main ones, Jeff Austin. Jeff Austin has been a huge help to me. Just started watching the video. Jeff Austin has been a huge, I guess, I don't want to say pillar, but has been one of those guys that said, you know what, your family, I'm going to help you out, and we're going to do what we need to help you succeed. And that Jeff has definitely done that. And, there's been a lot of other people who have done that for me as well. Steve Brown. Steve Brown's another one, a big person in the community, in the industry, and, just basically made me his friend, maybe his brother, and that's what these people call us. And that's why I use that term a lot, because I mean it. When I say brother to you, man, it's one of those things where you're innocent before proven guilty. That's the way I see it. You're a good person, and now decide.
Yeah, you always call me Victor.
Yeah, I haven't decided that one yet. But
still working on it.
But I think we've done pretty well, and I think you surround yourself with the right people, you're gonna do well. You're gonna do good. Trust yourself. Again, I'm also a very person that believes in faith, and I pray a lot, man. And it's one of those things. If you're not that person, I definitely do, especially during these times, man. It's hard. It's trying, but hey, we're going through with it. We've gotten so much support, from people with these raffles, and you guys out there that see these raffles coming out. We're not just trying to, throw things down your throat, guys. We're out there trying to keep this shop open, and you guys are definitely, doing awesome and showing that support to us, guys. So really appreciate it, and I think we'll be around for a while, especially I think with Sam and I together, and then him backing me up and me backing him up. I think we're gonna be around for a good while.
Yeah, no, definitely, I think so too. I mean, I've honestly, I had no idea kind of the whole T-shirt game. I've learned a lot about it from Fabian over the last few months, and there's definitely a lot to be learned around this and things. And a lot of things Fabian said here are good things, and those are fundamental type things, right? Surround yourself with the right people, be a good person, be patient. I think the other one that kind of it's just maybe I don't want to say it's a given. But I just don't I wouldn't want people to take it for granted. Is just be the good person, be the right person, be someone, have integrity around what you're doing out there. Because when you're and this goes for a lot of people, I think, when you're first getting started, especially with like with shirts or with me with rods, it's expensive to get people to trust you. And they'll trust you, especially a shirt, it's $20-$30, whatever. It may be a little bit more disposable type, but when you get someone to talk about spending $200, $300, $400 on a rod, it takes a lot of trust. And people, and so the name on the actual rod, it could be the same rod, but the name on the rod is what makes a rod a $200 rod and a $400 rod. And it's not because the rod components cost that. A lot of the cost is associated with the components, but it's what is this guy? How is this guy going to treat me when things go bad, right, or whatever? And just kind of being that, having that kind of reputation and being a good person, and because it's hard to sell something when people don't recognize you and don't know who you are, and building that trust takes time, and takes money. I mean, there's a lot of things that I've, like you said, you sold for below your cost. You were losing money because you wanted to get it in the hands of the right people, and it's almost you gotta be prepared to do that. And I think you almost like it's going to be a part of it. Like no matter what you're doing, anyone looking to be a brand, I mean, you're going to be cash flow negative for a while, unless you're an exception and you're doing really well. But it's going to cost you time and money. And for me, like the cost part of it was, when I first started doing this, like it was the cost part of it was the physical cost. Okay, this is how much this costs. This is how much the blanks cost. This is how much whatever, right? But what you don't account for, which is the bigger cost, is the marketing cost. That's huge, right? You could build the best. You could build the best rod and nobody would use it because nobody trusts you. Nobody knows who you are.
Yeah.
And so how do you get people to trust you? Well, that takes time and money to do that. So yes, I think being that good person, that specifically to t-shirts, though, I think that the one thing I've learned kind of over the last few months is the biggest value add is the ability to mock up. And learning how to mock stuff up is, in my opinion, if you want to start a t-shirt business, like it's what you have to learn to do. It's a basic thing, whether you do it in Photoshop, Illustrator, and whatever the tool is. Like learning how to mock up something is right. That's significantly going to reduce your operating expenses. It's going to allow you to test the waters without physically putting a lot of money into it. It'll mostly take time, figuring out how to take, a blank shirt and imposing your logo on it, or your design or your artwork. That, doing that's what I mean by mock up, where you're actually making a shirt look like it's a shirt without it physically being a shirt.
And even then, I mean, if you can find yourself, because they're out there. Before, I did have a company that I was dealing with that would tell me, hey, we'll make one or two for you.
Yeah.
To kind of test it out. But those are the kind of people that you want to kind of hook yourself up with.
Yep.
It's hard, because again, like TJ said earlier, it is a competition for everyone. But that's another thing also to kind of keep in mind. And I don't know, I mean, again, I've said it many times, it makes you feel good when you help somebody, but help somebody. When you get that opportunity, just help them. Just help somebody. It comes back to you, man. It really does. And, I've met a lot of people who will tell me, like, hey, man, you helped me, a year ago. and this is awesome. I mean, I think I got a message saying, hey, you're going to be at Gloves. I'm like, yeah. He goes, dude, I only have 7-Day Addiction shirts. And I'm like, oh, I appreciate that. He goes, no, it's because you're the only guy who actually made a 4X and a 5X for me. And I remember that. I remember the guy telling me, he goes, dude, nobody makes anything above a 3. And I said, you know what, dude? I have some shirts at the house. I'll make them for you. Give me your address, and we'll take care of it that way. Are you serious? Whatever. And I did it. I didn't remember I did that. And this guy, like 2 years later, messaged me. He goes, dude, I still have those shirts. They're the only company who does that, and I appreciate that. And I'm going to buy. And sure enough, he went out there and bought 3 or 4 more shirts. And, but again, it's one of those things. Don't just disregard anybody. Just be nice as much as you can, help somebody as much as you can, and any chance you get. I'm a big believer in karma, and they'll come back to you.
Yeah, and
so
what
Jacob has been buying shirts for you for the last 2 years.
No, well, actually, that's a good play because what I was gonna say, but I guess we can tie it to Jacob here. Is what I was gonna say is what I was gonna say was little things matter, right? But I guess. I know. Well, I wasn't going to say it in the context. You brought his name. I know, right? I'm not very much taller. But what I was going to say is it's the little things you do for people that really differentiate you. I mean, we can all put T-shirts. We can all make whatever we have. But it's the small little things. And like you said, you didn't think you were really going out. It wasn't that big of a deal to you to make these shirts. You had them already. But now you have a lifetime customer because of the little things that you did. And I think that's going to be a commonality. So little things do matter. A lot of times we may blow them off. You could have said, this guy's going to buy one shirt for me, and I'll never sell him anything anymore, and let me go out of it right there. Yeah, Jacob just recognized the double whammy there, but it is true. I mean, like
his favorite.
But it is very true. I mean, it just like because like you're always just like the person you're talking to may be one of your most loyal customers forever, right? And you don't know that, and that you could completely discount that because you're like, well, this guy's only picking up one shirt or whatever, he's not buying 10 shirt, whatever, right? Like there's a lot of reasons why people discount people like that, but it's again, it's the little things that you do that matter that really differentiate you. Mark what?
That and yeah, Mark's another one. Mark Tanner is one of those guys.
Man, those guys got more shirts than the shop, bro. For real.
And on the other thing also, I mean, and it's a big deal, and again, this kind of stuff is going out the door, with this new generations and stuff, but be a man of your word. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of tournaments, there's a lot of benefits. There's a lot of tournaments, there's a lot of benefits, there's a lot of nonprofits. They reach out to you and they ask you, can you donate something? If you say yes, they're depending on you.
Yeah.
It's okay to say no. That's the other thing. It's okay to say no. So, just whichever way you do it, do it properly. And again, just keep it. And I go back to that because I'm trying to think back of people who talk to me and think, oh, yeah, you helped us 2-3 years ago and you donated 5 shirts or whatever. Again, little things, they do go a long way, but keep your word, guys.
Yep. So, no, good deal, man. So, well, I think our goal was to keep this at about 30 minutes to an hour. We're at an hour 15. Obviously, we may come back and talk to Fabian some more. We may just kind of put this out. I think one thing that people can expect to see is, and we started it the other day, and we're kind of continue to do it, is the story behind the designs. I mean, I think so. In addition to brands having stories, and obviously we heard a lot of your story today, Fabian. Even like some of the specific designs, the things that you put together. I mean, there's some sort of something that resonates within you that kind of tells you, that says, hey, let me put this on paper. This is what I want to articulate. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm, it's in my mind. How do I get this on paper? And I think based on the response that we had both on the butterfly and on the Dia de la Pesca shirt, I think, it lends itself well for us to continue to kind of putting out that kind of the backstory behind the designs and what you were thinking and what you were doing. That kind of answers Sam's other question is around, what can we continue to see or what can we expect? I think the other thing that we've been discussing here that we didn't really touch much is, we'd like to get the community's involvement, or I say our community, our Facebook or our followers involvement in kind of the evolution of our designs, right? Because you have a lot of designs that, you personally say, hey, I don't like where this is going, or this is whatever. And so kind of the conversations Fabian and I have had is that, we'll kind of, rather than Fabian kind of chunking them out, we'll put them out on the group or on social media to get people's feedback and get people's thoughts on it. Hey, I like where you're going with this, or why don't you try this or whatever, and really try to incorporate our communities, our followings, thoughts in what we're putting together. So.
Yeah, definitely, and that's definitely something we can do. I kind of tried that with the latest Jeep design that I did.
Yeah, exactly.
I did like the beginning part of it, then I kind of added some things to it, But I think even going a little more bare and doing just the line work and just showing where we're at, and I think that'll definitely give you that involvement, that ownership. You buy that shirt, and you can always say, hey, I took a part in it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely something we can do in the future. But again, thank you all so much, for one, tuning in, and two, again, we're going on 4 years, 5 years, maybe. I lose track, but that's because of the people who supported us. And again, Victor being one of them that's here, he's obviously supporting the heck out of us, and we have a lot of people like him. And
I'm just trying to get my GED.
Well, now don't punch your teachers. So.
But again, just thank you all so much. Especially during this time, guys. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the, you guys just showing the love towards it. And thank you all so much for that.
All right. Well, before we let anybody go, we definitely did something different today that we hadn't done. Obviously, we've done these kind of shows, but we've done them in person. We've had one Skype call in the past with Bill from Houston when we talked about rod building. But obviously, this was new. I don't know how the stream came. I'm looking at what it looks like on my machine. It looks like everything went well, but I don't know what people saw on Facebook and YouTube in terms of what worked well, what didn't work well. So if you guys experience any lag, or if you couldn't hear us, or if there's anything you'd like for us to change on kind of the way we're doing this videos, let us let us know in the comments below, because we are planning to do these pretty frequently here, and we're trying to figure this out, so that we can kind of continue putting good stuff out there. Because even like, I mean, we've got first of all, we've got, you know, pretty all of next week. I think we're pretty booked up here. On Monday, we're doing it with Joaquin from Stoic Outdoors. On Wednesday, we're going with Jess from Sons of Texas, which is pretty cool too. They're a pretty big band in here in the valley. And then on Friday, we're talking to Fish Sticks with Hunter himself. So and then and that's just next week, right? And initially we're like, hey, we'll put it out here, a few people, you know, Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and we'll see what we can do to fill it up. And now we've already got the next week full, and we have a bunch of people that are trying to that we're trying to confirm dates with as well too. So yeah, I think this is going to be good. So our plan is to kind of continue to push this out. Obviously, push it out on the 3 different platforms, or I'd say the 2 platforms, YouTube and Facebook, at the same time, like we're doing right now, as well as to push it out on both channels on our Facebook platform. So on the Paulo Fishing and the 7-Day Addiction stuff. So depending wherever you are watching, whether it's YouTube or Paulo Fishing or 7-Day Addiction on YouTube, Facebook, whatever it is, let us know what comes out, and yeah, we'll continue to do this. And also, I mean, obviously we have a list of people. We have people reaching out to us asking to be on the show. But if there's anyone that you guys want to us to talk to, or if you want to come on yourself and talk about your brand, then we're all about that. So just send us messages on that. So yeah, I think this was good. We learned a lot, and then we learned.
Jacob, sign up. Jacob, sign up.
Jacob's actually going to be. So I reached out to Jacob, and Jacob's going to be helping us out next week when we talk to Joaquin. So they have a relationship, those two guys. So we're going to
make sure to bring my booster seat.
So Victor, that just means you're fired.
Yeah, Victor, you just got.
Thank you, Jacob.
But
dude, you fired me like 4 times already.
He just shows up again, dude. Like,
and I don't go away. Though. Just keep that in mind.
You keep reapplying, and I keep rehiring.
But yeah, so
I just changed my name.
So we are going to be doing different things. We're going to try things up. We're going to try to do whatever we can to increase engagement, increase awareness, and increase kind of the following out here. So, but yeah, it looks like everything went well. We got a few comments here from different people saying that the show came well through on YouTube and on Facebook. And so, yeah, we'll go ahead and end it today. And again, thanks guys for watching. We'll try to keep these at about, again, at the most an hour. But today we were experimenting, trying different things, and yeah, we learned a lot today. So so thanks again, guys. And actually, you know what? I said we're gonna let everybody go, but there's one last thing I want to do before we leave. Is I want to hear Fabian sing.
I pledge allegiance.
I want to. I want to hear so I want to hear. So well before we get there, before we get there, let's hear the backstory of the song 7-Day Addiction. And actually, I can. You can sing it for us if you'd like, but I can. I think I've got it here somewhere where I can.
It's a long song, and I don't play the guitar. I'm sorry.
But you,
I actually wrote that song way prior to 7-Day Addiction.
Oh yeah.
I started it.
But it's called 7-Day Addiction. So I mean, there had to be.
The first part of it was just And then when 7-Day Addiction came about, my brother lives in Nashville, and he's actually a singer-songwriter up there. Been at it for, a good several years. So obviously I called him up, and he helped me finish it, and we made it the 7-Day Addiction anthem. So
let's hear some of that, Fabian.
That's a cool song, man.
Cause, I mean, you did it over a campfire the other day, so I mean, going on, just right there it's not a big deal, I don't think, is it?
No. I'm just.
Do you remember the words?
There's not many people watching. I guess before I go into it, the last part, I'll do the last verse.
All right.
The last verse, and then I'll tell you the mindset we had when we wrote that last verse is, you go to work, you come back, you do your 9 to 5, and you come back basically all, tired and there's pretty much in a sense, you're hopeless. Like I'm gonna have to do this again, But the mindset behind the song is that, you can get away in your mind, and I think actually that song fits perfect right now because everybody wants to hunt and fish. Obviously the governor said you can't, but right now the best thing for you is stay home. So I think the best thing to do is go fishing and go hunting in your mind, for the last part. So we'll go ahead and I guess send you all out with the last.
All right, let's hear it, Fabian.
Hopefully I don't mess it up here. Here we go. Ready? Victor, you want to play the guitar? All right. You work your ass off day after day. It seems that life is all work and no play. You tell yourself it's all okay. 'Cause in my mind I'm gone fishing. And in my mind I'm in that shooting position. And in my mind I've got that big red on the line. I've got that big buck in my sight. That's where I go when I'm itching. To feed that 7-day addiction. That's what I do when I'm itching. To feed that 7-day addiction.
All right, guys.
Yeah, bro. Awesome.
So we expecting a music video coming out here pretty soon, Fabian. But good deal. So, but again,
after all this is over, man, we'll get around a campfire and sing a little bit.
All right, guys. All right. Well, we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys on Monday, man.
Yes.
All right. Talk to you.
Thank y'all.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye.